dragon. And the dragon goes back to Daniel 7, remember? There's Babylon, Persia, Greece, and Rome, the Roman Empire. And Rome, ultimately led by the devil, the ultimate dragon, was a nation that used force. It did not respect religious freedom. It told the early Christians, if you didn't put a little bit of incense in a container showing that you were worshiping Caesar, you would be thrown to the lions. That's why the Christians were butchered in the Colosseum. And if you look at history, down throughout history, governments have crossed over the line and enforced religion. That's what happened in Babylon when Nebuchadnezzar built that big statue of himself in Daniel 3. And he said, if you don't bow down to my statue, into the fire you go. It happened in Persia when the king signed a law that said, if you pray to any other god except for me for the next 30 days, you're going into a pit with lions. And the Romans did the same thing. And it happened down throughout history. Persecution. And denying people freedom of religion.
Yes, right.
And this text says, Revelation 13:11 tells us that eventually the second beast, there'll be a horrible development inside this nation, where it will have two horns like a lamb, yes, but it will finally speak as a dragon, and it will use force. And what will it enforce? Well, if you go back to Revelation 13, and if you keep reading, verse 11 says he spoke as a dragon, and then verse 12 says he exercises, in other words, the second beast will finally exercise all the authority of the first beast before him. So the second beast is going to have authority like the first beast. And then it says he will cause the earth and them which dwell therein to worship the first beast, whose deadly wound was healed. In other words, the second beast is eventually going to cooperate with the first beast. And he's going to promote the worship of the first beast. This beast will promote the worship of that beast. Are you following me? And then it says, if you keep reading, we're not going to read every line here, we don't have time, but in verse 15, it says he will have power to give life to the image of the beast. And at the end of verse 14, it says that the people of the earth should make an image to the beast. So the second beast sets up an image of the first beast. Now the first beast, as we read about last night, is a church-state combination. If you look at history, the church during the Dark Ages felt it had the right to combine with the state and to pressure the state to enforce its ideas upon Europeans.
And that's when you get...
The second beast is different, but eventually that difference is going to break down, and it's going to set up an image of the first beast. Now, if the first beast is church and state combined, what would have to happen for the second beast that has church and state separate to set up an image of the first beast? They would have to combine. The religious freedom that we have in this country would have to break down. The principle of Jesus giving to Caesar what is Caesar's and God what is God's, and making that division, and which is part of the First Amendment of the Constitution, that would have to go out the window. The Constitution would have to basically be denied. And then if that were to happen, if the time ever came in this country where religion combined with the state to enforce religion upon the American people, that would be the forming of an image of the first beast. And that's what an image is. An image is a duplicate. It's a copy. Like in Genesis, it says that God made man in his own image, in his own likeness. God made us to reflect his character. If you're in a boat sometime and you look over the side and you see your reflection of yourself in the water, you're seeing an image. When you look in the mirror, you're seeing an image. An image is a reflection of an original. And so for the second beast to set up an image of the first beast, something must happen so that it starts reflecting the first beast. And then the ultimate crime is in verse 16. Verse 16 says, he will cause all. Cause means force. He will cause all, both small and great, rich and poor, free and slave, to receive a mark in their right hand or in their foreheads.
And I just want to say this. Do you have rich people, middle class people gang stalking you? Do you have poor, handicapped people stalking you? Do you have Asians, whites, blacks stalking you? Do you have Hispanics stalking you? Do you have every color under the rainbow gang stalking you? Listen to what he's saying. He will cause every, every tribe, nation, and tongue of people. Have you been gang stalked by everybody, every race of people, every class of people?
That no man might buy or sell save he that had the mark of the beast. And that's what we're going to talk about in the last meeting today at 4 o'clock, part number 3, showing how both beasts are working together to enforce the mark of the beast. Now notice something in verse 16. How many people does he cause? All. He causes all. Now what does that tell you about the power of this beast? He's a superpower. Very powerful. Powerful nation. And what does it tell you when it says that nobody can buy or sell unless he has the mark? That tells us that he has the power to influence the world's economy. That has to do with buying and selling. So this second beast eventually becomes a superpower with the ability to enforce and to affect the world's economy. Affects buying and selling. And in the midst of all this is going to be the enforcement of what the Bible calls the mark of the beast. And it's really, this beast enforces the mark of this beast. The mark is the mark of the first beast. And then it's enforced by the second beast.
And remember, people, a beast equals a king and or a kingdom. Beast is equivalent to a kingdom.
Now let me ask you, how many nations are on planet Earth right now that are that's a mighty nation that has risen up in the end times? It's very active right now. It has risen out of a wilderness area where there's not been a lot of people, at least when it started, that is not ruled by kings. It's not a monarchy. It's more of a republic, democratic republic. It becomes a superpower and has the ability to influence the world's economy and to finally enforce the mark of the beast. How many nations fit every single detail of the prophecy? There's only one. Just like last night, we looked at all the details of the first beast, and we looked at 7 details in the book of Daniel. We saw a whole host of details in the book of Revelation. We put all those details together, and how many organizations in history fit every single one of those details? Only one. That's right. And if you weren't here last night, if you missed the book that we gave out last night, we do have extra copies. Last night we gave out a book called The Antichrist Identified. And if you were not here last night and you missed this book, we have more copies that you can have. When you leave, there'll be somebody out there that will give you this book if you missed it.